Today I'm going to be covering the topic of NHS pensions. I've covered teachers' pensions before and I got asked to cover NHS pensions too. So this is Understanding NHS Pensions in 2021. So I'm Charlotte Jessup and this is the Looking After Your Pennies YouTube channel. I make it my job to explain some of the tricky finance concepts that are out there so that you can make informed decisions about your finances. This is not financial advice, this is just for your education, so you can go away and make the right decisions for you. Now, NHS pensions have been known for being pretty good pensions, and they still are decent pensions, probably some of the best available in the UK. So I'm a teacher, so I'm coming at this from an outsider's perspective. However, I have done my research and I'm ready to share with you some information that I have found that can hopefully help you understand your pension a little bit better. So the first thing to understand is that the NHS have a platform dedicated to the benefits of its employees. So this is called the Total Reward Statement, and you can use the link below to go and check that out. Now this is where you will find your pension statement or your annual benefit statement. Now this is where you will get the most information about your pension. So I would recommend, if you haven't looked at that already, to maybe load that up whilst you watch this video so that you can kind of learn what each of the different things mean whilst looking at it from your own personal perspective. Now, I was fortunate that I have a friend who is a midwife in the NHS and she was able to share with me a behind the scenes of her pension. So I'll be able to speak to some of the elements that you will see actually within the TRS system. Now, there are three main pension schemes that are running within the NHS. There's the 1995 scheme, the 2008 scheme, and the 2015 scheme. So these are kind of different versions of the pension, and it will depend on when you join the NHS as to which type of pension you have available to you. I will speak about how each of the pensions are calculated and what this could mean for your money. Now let's start with some of the basics. So an NHS pension is a defined benefit pension. Now this differs from some of the pensions that you will know about and maybe in the private sector. So when we talk about pensions, we're normally talking about adding money into a pot, and then that pot gets invested and it grows over time. Then when you hit retirement, you start living off the money in that pot. We call those defined contribution pensions, and they're different from defined benefit pensions that exist like the NHS pension, like teachers' pensions, and other pensions that are available in the public sector. Now, the reason they're different is there's not a pot of money as such. It's more you pay now and then you are guaranteed an income later on. Now, there are some benefits to this. First of all, there is that guaranteed income element. You pay in now and they tell you how much you will get at the end. Secondly, you don't have to rely on the stock market doing well. Literally, the money that you pay now will give you some money at the end, regardless of what goes on in the economy. So they also have the benefit of having a pension available to your partner if you pass away. So this means that part of your pension will be available to your partner even after your death. So that's a real perk. Also, there is some protection against inflation. So obviously, when people are investing their money in the stock market, that kind of outweighs some of the risks of inflation. But with a defined benefit pension like the NHS pension, normally they kind of top it up. They adjust the amount that you're going to get based on how inflation performs. Like I said, this is probably one of the best pensions that's available, and it probably outperforms a lot of the other pensions that are available in the private sector. You do have to make high contributions for this though, and for this reason a lot of people decide to opt out. It's probably worth spending some time thinking about whether that is the right thing to do after you've watched this video and you can see what exactly that is available to you if you do opt into this pension. You might want to seek expert advice on this though, so please speak to maybe your union members or ask if there is someone that is available to you to discuss your NHS pension in full. So let's talk about these three different pensions then, the 1995, the 2008 and the 2015. Now, the first thing to mention is that the first two, the 1995 and the 2008, use a final salary model. Now, this was changed in 2015 when it switched to more of a career average model. And I'll explain what this difference means in a minute. Before we get into that though, let's talk about contributions. Now, your contributions are calculated based on your pensionable pay if you were a full-time employee. So what this means is that not all money money is included. So this might be like overtime is included. It will just be kind of your basic pay. You will need to check with your employer or to check your benefit scheme to see what pay is covered as pensionable pay. Now, your pensionable pay will then have specific contribution rates as shown in this table that will tell you how much you are needing to pay towards your pension. As you can see, it increases with the more that you earn. So you have to pay more towards your pension. Now, unlike those defined contribution pensions, this isn't going directly into a pot. It's just there to kind of pay for your future income. So think of it more as like a subscription sort of model. Now, your employer is also paying for this too, and they have increased their contributions recently, and they now pay 20.6% towards your pension. Now, this is much higher than, most contributions that are made in the private sector. That starts at around like 8%. So even some good jobs will, increase that a little bit, but they're probably not getting anywhere near 20.6%. Now, you also have to remember that your contributions are made before tax. So, if you're paying, in the region of like 9%, that's not actually going to be 9% of your take-home pay that you're missing out on. It's more likely to be in the region of 7% because of the payment is made before the tax deduction. So remember to consider that when you are making any calculations about what your pension might be costing you. So let's look at these three pensions then. So let's start with the 1995 pension. Now, the first thing to note is when you can actually claim this pension. So if you are under the 1995 scheme, then you are able to access that pension at the age of 60. There are options to do this earlier, but that normally comes at some sort of sacrifice as to your future earnings, because it's obviously got to last you a bit longer. So like I said before, the 1995 pension is a final salary pension, and it's calculated using this formula. So it's 1/80th of the best of your last 3 years pensionable pay. And then that's multiplied by the number of years that you were in that particular pension scheme. So you could have some contributions that were made in the 1995 scheme, some in the 2008 and some in the 2015 scheme. So this would count for the ones that were made under the 1995 scheme. Now, you could calculate this for yourself, but the best thing to do is look at this section under the total rewards statement. So now let's look at the 2008 scheme. So this one you can take at 65. So it's a bit older than the 1995. And again, there's that option to take it a bit earlier at a price. Now this one is still a kind of final salary option, but it's calculated a little bit differently. So this one is calculated based on 1/60th of the average of the 3 best consecutive years in the last 10 years. So that sounds complicated, but like I say, go check this out on that TRS system. It will show you exactly what you already have in that pot that's going to be payable to you once you start claiming that pension. It breaks it down nicely. Now, the 2015 one is a little bit different. So this is a career average. So that's a switch up from the kind of final salary versions where they're just taking the best years that you've worked. Instead, with this career average, they will take the kind of full spectrum. So, your entry level salary, those years where you didn't work as much, or maybe you took a step back for family. So it takes all of that rather than just looking at those best years. So some people will consider this one a little bit of a step down from the previous pensions that were available, and they kind of might be right in that regard. However, it is still a really good pension, okay? So if you're on the fence about whether it's worth it, I would urge you to look into this and see how it compares to other pensions that are being offered by other employees in other sectors. Now this one you can claim at state pension age. So that's currently 68. And again, there are options to take that early again. Now the calculations for this are a little different, and there's a couple of calculations that need to happen to make this work out how much pension you're going to get. So the first one is the build-up rate. So this one is really simple. You just need to take 1/54th, or take how much money you earn in pensionable pay and divide it by 54. And that's what will get added to your kind of annual benefits statement that you will receive for your pension. But before they do that, they do another calculation, and this is called a revaluation. So this is where it kind of accounts for inflation a little bit. Now, there is going to be an amount that's set by the Treasury orders. So they're going to make a statement about what they think it should be increased by, and it's that percentage plus 1.5%. So they could set this at, say, 3%, and then it would be 1.5 on top of that. So you could get 4.5% increase. So they would take the amount of pension that was calculated for your build-up rate, and then they would times that by that additional percentage, and that would be the amount that gets added to your benefit statement, or to the amount of pension that you will be able to claim annually. So like I said, it's a little more complicated than the others. And let's face it, all of them sound a little bit complicated. As I said before, that TRS system website will be able to give you a breakdown of exactly what you are getting from each scheme so far. Now, there is also the option to take a lump sum, and this is normally worked out at 25% of the capital value. Again, your annual benefit statement will break this down and tell you how much you can get and the impact that has on your pension. This is definitely a topic that we need to be paying more attention to. So if you're the sort of person that's just left your NHS pension just ticking away, knowing this is pretty good, now might be the time to learn a bit more about it, so you can make sure that it's actually going to serve you in the future, or whether you maybe need to make some tweaks. If you're somebody that has opted out of this in the past, maybe this is the time for you to reconsider whether you want to join back in. Please let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and make sure you check out my other videos for ways to get the most out of your money. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.